Good afternoon, my name is Blake Silvio. This is my case analysis presentation, Business Law 3201 for Professor Romero. I am presenting the case of Liebeck versus McDonald's in the hot coffee case. First, we'll start with a brief history of the companies in question, which is McDonald's Corporation, a company we've all heard of. Yes, that McDonald's Corporation. I'm sure everyone's attended at some point in their life. It was founded in 1958 in San Bernardino, California by Dick and Mac McDonald, who were brothers. In 1961, a man named Ray Kroc, who was the subject of the movie The Founder, actually purchased the exclusive rights from the brothers to run the Speedy system, and he fell in love with the franchising system that he saw that McDonald's could become, and had a vision that the brothers did not, built on three pillars of success, which were consistency, resilience, and innovation. That being led to now over 36,000 restaurants and operating in over 100 countries. McDonald's has had great financial and commercial success ever since its existence. It's the largest fast food chain in the world. Its primary source of income is from its sales of burgers and fries and McNuggets at its stores. It's executed 12 stock splits since it listed on the New York Stock Exchange in April of 1965. In 2021 alone, it saw income increase 41% from the 2020, which was obviously down from the pandemic. Over $9 billion contributed from its operations of the stores, and dividends have increased every year up to now $5.52 a share. Liebeck versus McDonald's was colloquially named the hot coffee case because on the morning of February 27, 1992, Stella Liebeck was attending a local McDonald's in Albuquerque, New Mexico with her grandson. They went to the drive-thru and Stella ordered her a regular coffee. They had stopped for her to take the lid off, put creamer and sugar in her coffee, and when she did, she spilled it on her lap. The coffee was so hot that it caused third-degree burns over 16% of Stella's body. The recovery was long and arduous, and all she requested was $20,000 for McDonald's to cover her medical bills. McDonald's response to this was no. We'll give you $800, which is a splash in the bucket compared to what Stella needed at 79 years old. After months and months of pleading with McDonald's to try to just get her bills paid, she decided that she would get a lawyer and take McDonald's to torts court because she could no longer just request money be given to her without some sort of answer from McDonald's. Stella hired personal injury attorney Reed Morgan and filed a negligence lawsuit against McDonald's. Reed Morgan had wondered why Stella's burns were so bad, so he went to the University of Texas and found Dr. Ken Stiller, who had what he called a time-temperature ratio, and saw that McDonald's coffee was at around 180 to 190 degrees, when the average temperature of coffee served at fast food restaurants was 160 degrees. At 160 degrees, you had 20 seconds to wipe off coffee before suffering third-degree burns. The low side of McDonald's coffee, 180, you had 12 to 15 seconds. The high side, at 190 degrees, the time dropped to just less than 3 seconds before you suffered a third-degree burn. Now, not only did McDonald's knowingly sell their coffee at this temperature, they had a company policy that the stores must raise the temperature of the coffee to 180 to 90 degrees due to an increased flavor benefit, which was just a monetary gain that McDonald's was seeking. Not only did they do this, they had over 700 previous cases of burn injuries caused by their coffee and still neglected to change the temperatures due to the benefit of the monetary gain from the flavor increase of the extra 20 degrees. On the other hand, McDonald's did not have a very great case. They didn't use much defense. They acted with arrogance and carelessness and sort of disregarded the pain and suffering that Ms. Liebeck went through. They instead used their money and power to build a narrative that she was a money-grubbing old lady. There were headlines in national news saying, "Lady wins $3 million for spilling coffee on herself." They claimed that how could she not know coffee was hot? It's coffee. There really was no concern for the common person or their victims who were being burned by their coffee. Instead, just tried to play it off as if it was someone trying to get a quick paycheck from McDonald's and fame. Thankfully, in the end, the case had a happy ending. The judge ruled in favor of Miss Liebeck, found McDonald's guilty of being negligent of how they handled their coffee, their temperature, and not giving proper warning to their customers of the excessive temperature. The jury actually wanted to award Miss Liebeck $3 million total between the damages and the punitive damages. McDonald's didn't end up having to pay the total amount because the judge capped it to a total of $640,000, which was still far more than the $20,000 Miss Liebeck requested in the beginning. She asked for $20,000. McDonald's claimed, no, we'll give you $800. Kept arrogance the entire time throughout the case, decided that they were not going to pay her anything, went to court, and ended up, thankfully, getting out and not having to pay $3 million, but still ended up paying her almost $1 million when they could have just given her $20,000 to cover her medical bills. As far as long-term effects of the case of Liebeck versus McDonald's, some of the bad things were, sadly, McDonald's never made the changes they needed to make. They didn't reduce the temperature of their coffee. All they did was just, on their coffee cups now, there's a warning label saying hot coffee. But with all the headlines that McDonald's created claiming that Miss Liebeck had won $3 million in this case, even though she hadn't actually received $3 million, frivolous lawsuits like these that weren't credible started popping up all over the place. In the fear of that, companies actually increased their safety awareness and made safety changes so that they could avoid being in this case, whether it be credible or just frivolous. But most importantly were the punitive damages caps that were put in place thanks to the tort reform advocates who used Ms. Liebeck as a poster child in a negative light, claiming that she was frivolous and not credible and doing damage to the justice system. However, she was really just trying to get the money she needed to pay her medical bills and was blessed by the jury with additional fundings because they realized how arrogant and stubborn McDonald's was in the case. And I think it was seen as a lesson, as making an example out of McDonald's. Don't treat your customers as if they're not people. Treat them like they're people.